Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar on your channel BMC Remedyforce. Today's topic is going to be Salesforce Advanced Reports and Dashboards. So we're just going to wait for a couple of minutes to see if anyone else is going to join to live session. Just a friendly reminder, please set up your screen quality to 720p. This option is located on the lower right corner of the YouTube player. There's a gear icon there. Click on that icon and that will give you the options to select the quality. Recommended to set up at least 720p so you may see everything that we are going to do with the reports. Also, let me know if there's any problems with the audio. Uh, Today we're broadcasting from an external source outside the office due to the COVID-19, but we're doing our best to give you this webinar the best as we can. Thank you, Jared. Thanks for confirming. All right. So before we begin, on behalf of the whole Remedyforce team and BMC, the BRMs and the support guys, we wish you and we want to express, we wish that your families and you and your loved ones that are going through this situation of COVID-19, we wish you that you go through this safely and you enjoy health. Try to stay positive uh, and enjoy this time with your family. Um, Without any longer waiting time, let's begin with today's webinar. So today we're going to talk about Salesforce Advanced Reports and Dashboards. We're going to see a couple of tips and tricks how to gain the best of the Salesforce reporting tool, and we're going to see this through a different way this time. We're gonna um, we're gonna see a real business case scenario, um, and from there we're gonna start doing all the demo. Feel free to ask any questions. For those joining, welcome to today's webinar. Recommend you to set up your stream quality to at least 720p so you will see everything clear. Options are located on the gear icon on your YouTube player. Okay, so today's agenda is going to be we're going to review first the business cases scenario. We're going to see also which options are available from the Salesforce Reports tool. And finally, we're going to perform what we require from our business cases scenario. Okay, the Director of Support Services for Acme Corporation is concerned about his support staff productivity. He finds out the out-of-the-box SLA dashboard over complex. Due to he is interested on simple data like average time to close and average time to contact the client by staff, but also number of tickets closed per quarter per staff. He requests the Remedyforce administrator to build a report and a dashboard to review staff productivity. This may sound familiar to you. Um, Out of the box, the Remedyforce package comes with a great SLA dashboard, but it requires you to set up your SLAs. I can say from my perspective and from my experience as a support technician in Remedyforce that not all the customers are using SLAs. Maybe because they don't have an agreement with external companies or with an external provider, or they don't have an internal agreement with their own people or their own staff or their own clients inside the company, right? So therefore, tracking times can be kind of complicated. Uh, getting average times without using SLAs, it could be complicated, right? But there are some options available that we're gonna see how we're gonna play with them, play with different options with that Salesforce offers, and how we can make them work together. So before we begin with the demo and everything, we got to identify what are the keywords from our business case scenario. Um, they have required us to get the time to close, the time to respond, and we need to have groupings by staff and by quarter. At least that's what our director has suggested to us, right? So we should be able to build a scalable report that we can modify easily. We should be able to get the time to close based on the open date and the close date. And we should be able to get the time to respond based on a field called responded date. Okay, so what are our options available? We can use Salesforce Summary Reports for creating groupings, formula fields to calculate time in real time without using any process builder workflow, and something a little bit advanced, which is called summary formulas to calculate average without creating any custom fields or any additional formula fields. So how do we get that? These are our options that we're going to use. This is how we're going to see it right now in the demo, but just wanted to show you right now this on the presentation. So let's begin with the demo, because I don't want you to catch us the time. The time is going to catch us, and it's there's a lot of stuff to review today. Again, if you have any questions, you can put it on the chat. Um, if I'm able to answer directly live on the session, I will answer. If I don't have the answer right now, I will ask you to write me an email, and I will answer back. Okay, so let's begin. First of all, we need to identify if we have all the fields that we require to build our report, right? So there are a couple of ways to do it. We can just go directly to reports and create a new report just to see which fields we have available for incidents. Something to mention, it's this, I'm gonna do this on incidents, but you can do it on whatever object you want. It might be problems, tasks, service request, um, change request, etc. And I'm going to do this first on classic, but also I'm gonna show it how to make it on lighting. Um, so first I'm gonna start with the classic version, and then we'll move to the lighting experience. Okay, so from here, they require us to have staff, which it's a field present here. We can just drag it and drop it. What else? He requires to get the responded date. Okay, we have something like responded date. Yes, we have. And also the time to, okay, time to close. And immediately we start seeing some challenges. First, let me change the report scope here. Gonna put all incidents from a close date all time. You can modify this range and to your current calendar year, fiscal quarter, fiscal year. At the moment, I don't have that many data on this Remedyforce testing environment, so I'm gonna select all time, but this is something you may tweak later. Okay, so we already have an out-of-the-box time to close business days. Okay, but this works based on your let me grab everything like open date, close date, and we're gonna start doing a couple of filters here because I don't want to see tickets that are currently open. So I'm gonna grab here a flag that we use to identify when an incident is closed. It's called it state open. You can use state open or you can use status. Um, it doesn't matter. State open, it's a checkbox. So whenever it's sent to a closed status, this will be false. Okay, so now we have a close date on everything. We don't have a responded date on all incidents, and this is something we're gonna see why we don't have a responded date on all incidents, because this is going to affect our data inside our report. Okay. Okay, so I was saying that um, we already have a field called the time to close, and it's working based on business days. Okay, and this is taking the value of your business days from here. If you go to the setup and you type business hours, then we have here the organization business hours, which in my case, my default business hours is from 9 to 5 Central US. Okay, so that means for every single time that it has passed 8 hours in a day from Monday to Friday, let me check. Yes, it's Monday to Friday. It's gonna count one business day. Okay, so it's not counting weekends. So if your scope is to calculate based on business days, then this field is going to work perfectly. If you're required to calculate based on natural days, then we have a problem. All right. So this is a tabular format. That's how it's called, and it's a preview. So all the records we see, it's only a preview. Preview it's limited to 50 records. In order to see all records, you must run the report. All right, so let's start. Let's start. That we have already have found the initial problem. Um, this thing it's calculating based on business days, and the other problem is responded date. It's not always populated. Okay, so what requires for responded date to be populated? Let's grab this example and incident number 42. So let's go to the console and let's check incident number 42. For those that don't know exactly what is responded date is a feature from the Remedyforce console that when I get an email assigned to myself um, and I need to start working on it, uh, I have the option to, by an action, um, click something, an action here that it's called responded, and that marks a checkbox and populates the time on the responded date. Okay, this can be automated by when the staff sends an email to the client or when the staff logs a client note from the activity feed. This incident is currently closed, so I will need to reopen it in order to modify it. Okay, so now the logic or the purpose of the respondent is to be able to track how much time it takes our staff to contact the client from the open date, right? So we can compare uh, open date against responded date, right? And we can see exactly how much time it took the staff to actually get in contact with the client. And this can be done manually by clicking responded action here, I'm sorry. Or you can automate a process builder or a workflow to automatically mark that checkbox when a staff creates a client node, which should be a communication node that is visible from the sales service. Right now, I don't have that automation in place. Um, So if I create a node, would probably will still have to do it manually. There you go. Okay, so now that I have that responded date, let me run this report. Back over here. Okay. So that's the first thing you gotta make sure. If you're gonna use this field, responded date, you gotta make sure your staff is doing the right thing while contacting a client. Either marking responded date on from the actions menu. You can put the actual checkbox in here, or you can automate a process builder or workflow to do it manually when a staff creates a node or when a staff sends an email. That's also an option. All right. Okay, so then the second part, the time to close, still some business days. So I'm going to show you one of the most powerful tools that works with reports and with other features from Salesforce, and it's the formulas. So in order to calculate natural days, we're going to take the difference between the open date and the close date in natural days. So let's go to the setup menu, and I'm going to go to objects. Again, I'm going to show you the same steps from lighting after we finish the first report in Classic. Gonna look for the incident object right here. And let's create a new field under custom fields and relationships, and we're gonna select formulas. Formulas are really useful and powerful. These are read-only fields that they can basically do a bunch of stuff like accessing records related to the record where they feel it's created, doing calculations, performing ifs of or case or small logic challenges. I'm gonna select the field name here as time to resolve. I'm sorry, time to close. I'm sorry, natural days. Okay, and this is gonna be a number, and we don't want decimals, so I'm gonna keep the decimals on 0 and click next. All right, from here, we know that the time to close is the difference between the open date and the close date. So formulas can do this difference very easily. If we grab inserting the field here, we're gonna use open date insert minus insert field close date. This difference is gonna be negative, so I need to take out the negative operator. So in order to do that, from the right box, there's a function box here, and these functions are text functions, logical functions, and mathematical functions. So we're going to use a function called absolute or ABS, and this will get the absolute number. So in other words, it will just take out any signs, negative signs. So I'm going to check and no errors on the syntax, so that's good. I can add a description here if I want to add a description or a help text. Um, Help text will display next to the users when they hover the mouse over this field. So in case you want to tell them how this is being calculated or anything, you need to put it over here. And okay, we're gonna treat blanks field as zeros, and that's good. So click next. and click next. Save. Alright, so I'm going to close my report. And I'm going to open a new one. Same thing. I'm going to grab staff and time to close natural days. Open date. Close date. And we do the same thing for the scope, all incidents. On my current scenario, I'm going to take all time, and I'm going to add a filter for the state open because I don't care right now about the open tickets. Select false. Okay. All right. Okay, so now that we have our time to close in natural days, it looks better now. And let's check real quick our requirements. So we need average time to close. Oh, I'm sorry. Average time to contact by the client, but also number of tickets closed per quarter per staff. Okay, we have resolved the problem of calculating the time to close in natural days, but this is not even close from an average. Okay, so calculating an average can be really complicated because we got to evaluate all the tickets assigned to a specific staff and then take the number of tickets from a particular period, summarize the time to close in natural days, and divide by the number of tickets, right? And that will give us the average time to close. Now, a formula won't work for us, and I'm gonna show you this because this is real good to show. Because the formula doesn't know how many incidents do I have assigned to a specific staff. This formula only knows data from the incident that was created. Example, this time to close natural days is calculating this for only this incident, number 62. But it works totally different with a different incident number. So it's impossible to calculate an average time from here. So in order to use something with that will help us to calculate the average time, we need to start changing our report type. Right now we're using a tabular format with no groupings, so we need to start grouping them. Okay, so the first group we're going to do so we're going to group by staff. By clicking on this drop down on the staff column, select group by this field. Automatically the type of the report has changed from the tabular format to a summary format. And now we have the possibility of using formulas inside the actual report. Okay, so let's take a formula and we're going to create a formula here to calculate the average for every single staff in terms of time to close. So I'm gonna drag and drop that formula, and this is gonna be average time to close. Formulas can return number, percents, or currency. That depends on how you wanna render the info. For our purpose, I'm gonna choose number and decimal zero. and it basically it's similar composition as the formula field. We have our functions here, but most of them are math functions. We have logical as well, and summary. Okay, so see how many options you have in here. We can perform logical operations to evaluate reports data here, like creating an F to verify if a value is greater than certain X value, evaluating if it's a number or if it's null, or even creating a case which will allow us um, to do a massive logical operations in a simple with a simple structure. So for a purpose, we need to calculate the average, and the formulas here have very good options to do that, and automatically we don't have to do that much effort. So we're gonna click here in summary fields, and we're gonna look for our field. All these fields here are you will not see all the fields here. These are only fields that can be calculated or can be used in mathematical operations. So our field time to close natural days, it's right here. And right now from here I have the option to get the summary, get the largest value, or smallest, or get the average. Okay, so now a huge step that I missed. Where will this formula be displayed? This is important because our grouping, if we take a look at our grouping right here, we're grouping by staff. So that means we want to show this on the grouping by staff. I can show you a grand summary if that's your purpose, to show at the end of the report an average for all of them, but I want to see by staff. So select the grouping 1 staff and click on OK. Oh, my man, Jair has a terrible average right here. 296, 363, and 26. Remember, these are days, natural days, because it's being calculated based on the time to close natural days. And that's how you get an average time based on a formula or based on a number field. From here, do we have any questions or anything you want to point out? Excellent. Okay. Then we will continue because we have plenty enough stuff to complete. All right, so that was easy in terms of calculating the time to close because we already have open date, close date. That's good, right? So let's do the same thing for the um, time to respond, because time to respond um, it was required as well. So I'm gonna switch to lighting now to show you the same process just on lighting. Oh yeah, yeah. There's a question from Dave about the recording. Yes, the recording will be available uh, at the community's website. Let me find the community's website with the event. I'm gonna paste it on the chat. Um, but yeah, the actually you can save the actually you can save the link from this YouTube video, and it will be immediately available after I finish this. It's gonna be available at YouTube, so you can watch it any number of times. So just with the YouTube link, or by going to the communities event, and from there will be a redirection from the to this video. Oh, that's correct, Michelle. It's in this newsletter as well. Okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't meant to do that. From the lighting perspective, to go to the setup, it's a similar way. We just have to go to the gear icon here and click on the setup. That will open the setup page in a brand new page on your browser. Then we have the same quick find here, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna go to our objects by clicking on the object manager. I'm sorry, and here we're gonna type incident. Let's go to the incident, and we're gonna go to fields and relationships and new field. Then we select formula, and as you can see, it's exactly the same um, step wizard to follow. And this is gonna be time to respond in natural days. Actually, I'm gonna use a different term. Well, let's keep it like that. And number, decimals 0. Okay, from here, same thing. We're gonna need how much time it takes for a staff to contact a client. On our ideal world, every single ticket that we have has a responded date. So we're gonna take that for granted, okay? And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take open date because open date is the earliest date. It was the moment that the ticket was created, and we expect the responded date it's the latest. Then responded date, and don't forget about the function absolute. Oops, I made a mistake here. Check the syntax. Okay, that's it. And then next. If you want to change something for the visibility at profile level, you can do it from here, or you can come back later on every single profile and modify it. I recommend if you don't want to show these fields or this data to certain profiles like the clients example, just take out the permission from the clients, visible, and that's it. Out of the all the formulas are read only, so they don't have the option to modify it. Okay, we click save here. And now let's go to the reports tab in lighting. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna create a new report. Here it's gonna look a little bit different because this is a new UI, but it's basically the same thing. We're gonna select the report type here, and something just to mention, if you want to add additional info like the accounts related to the incidents, the configuration items or CIs affected by these incidents, you can add them. The services involved with those incidents, categories, um, what else? Urgencies, affected hardware, any object related to the incident must be here, and you can add them. Right now, because we're looking to raw incident data, I'm just taking the incidents, but you can play with it and add additional info. Now from here, we have the fields located over here, and let's look for our time to respond. Did I type it correctly? Hmm. Let's see what's missing from here. Did you guys saw if I click save or not? Yeah, I might need to refresh everything. This is something that happens on lighting. Thanks for the advice. There you go. Thank you. It's something that happens on lighting when you are creating either a new field or pretty much whatever action you create on an object. Um, it takes some time, I don't know, to automatically render, and if it doesn't render automatically, you gotta refresh back. So that was totally right. Thank you. All right, so let's see. So we have our fields here, and to add it to a column, let's look for them here. And time to spawn natural days, and I'm gonna refresh this view. Now let's go here to the filters. Filters here, it's the same filters section right here. So I'm gonna select the scope to all incidents, close date all time, and I'm going to add another filter for the state open. I'm gonna refresh this view. And as mentioned, we are going to have the problem here that not all the tickets have responded date. Okay, but I want you to ensure if you gonna build something like this, that responded date is gonna be populated either from a workflow or from manually from a staff. Okay, so in order to make this friendly, I'm gonna add another filter here. Not equal to 0. There you go. Well, am I missing something? Yes, we need to add staff. Add another column, staff, refresh. Okay. So now from here, if you want to sort different, just drag and drop the fields, and that's it. And to perform the groupings, just choose the field you want to group by, click on the drop down, and group rows by this field. There you go. Now to add another summary formula, click on the drop down here, and this is going to be average time to respond, number, no decimals. Select the display to the group we have, which is the staff. That's the only one we have. And on general, let's look for our time to respond. I'm gonna put the average and insert it right here. When we can just validate it if we need to validate, and just click apply, refresh the view, and now we have the average based up. Keep in mind that this is based on the grouping, so you don't see the value on each single row. It's gonna be per group, and that's it. Okay, so as you can see, it was a similar process, and now we have the average time to respond. So now we can start building a dashboard or multiple reports based on this one. Okay, so I'm gonna continue on classic a little bit, and then I will switch back again to lighting. From here, something I want to show you is that these average time to close fields that we created, our fields are only existing on the report. We're not creating any data or any field, any custom field on the object. So that means we're not taking out one custom field from our counters. Um, we're calculating this in real time. That's the only consequence, because if you make any modification, that there shouldn't be any modification to the close date. But if you modify the close date, then that will affect the time to close, and that will affect the average time to close. And a scenario where that data can be modified, and probably will be good to modify it, it's when a ticket is being reopened, right? So let's say we close a ticket because the staff considered that the issue was resolved, and then the client went back and requested to reopen the ticket. Then it takes another 2 weeks or another week to close it. Then the close date is going to be different than the initial close date, and that will change the time to close and the average. So we can, just to see how we're going to look it on the dashboard, we can add a simple chart here and take average time, yeah, staff formatting. Let me show the values. Oh, okay, then we have a question from Chris. He said, I always have trouble figuring out how to include client properties. For example, incidents reported by department or division. Ah, that's a very good question, Chris. Thank you so much. Yeah, let me take some time to answer that, because that's a really good question. Oh, let me switch to classic. Okay, so your main problem, Chris, will be that the the report type that we choose is critical, because the report type will give us the scope, the initial scope that we're gonna see, the fields available, right? So take this for example. From the fields available here, I just have incident info, as you can see. I will be able to bring the client name, right? Oops, I put it as a group. And if I can, okay, there it is. I will be able to grab the client ID, but if I try to access client's data from here, like, I don't know, client division or client department or client account or whatever, I'm not able to, right? So then we have two options. Option number one, it's try to find a report type that contains clients. So let's see if we can find something related to clients. Linked CI, urgency, request definition, account. Okay, we don't have one report type for that. Now, option number two. Let's see if we can create our own report type by going to the setup and creating a report type. Cheryl has come to save us, and she said that the type must be clients first. Yeah, that will be, see, CI client link, CI client with base element. Let's verify everything here. Mm, let's verify the structure. This is something that I do when I'm not able to find either a report type or, Okay, so our client, it's a user, right? So let me take this. I'm gonna take out this change request. And I'm gonna keep the user. So let me see if there's an object between them. The objects between another objects are called junction objects. And yeah, as far as I remember, it should be user. Can you see that on your Remedyforce, Chris? Any report type like user with? If not, I'm gonna try to create it just real quick. Yeah, I think that will be a custom report type. Yeah, because I don't have it, and mine it's an out-of-the-box Remedyforce. So let me see my report type. Wait, did I left my report type? Oh, right here. Yeah, but this is the main purpose of the webinars. It's really good, yeah, that you make me struggle to find out things so we can. All right, so I'm not able to find users here. So oh, there it is, users. Let me just try this real quick. Yeah, okay. So I had to. You probably created, John, right? The incidents with client information. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure if it was included in the past. I don't think so. Uh, by creating a new report type with the primary object as users, secondary object as incidents client ID, then click and save. Coming back to the reports, creating a new report, users, users with incidents now that I have it here. And okay, there you go. So sorry for the delay in that. Um, okay, Chris, just to answer your question, if department or division are fields present on the actual user object, I don't have. I don't think I have those. Oh yes, I do. Department, yeah, right here, and it's missing for me for whatever. Uh, then I'm gonna use the same. We created users instance client ID. Okay, yeah, that's fine, John. That's the same thing I need to do here. And all right, so let's go and grab real quick our staff. Okay, staff and time to respond. And I'm gonna, well, from here you can do a bunch of stuff, Chris. You can uh, group by department, group by staff, as we did, or even group by the client, if you want to group by the client. Um, The only consequence or the only difference that you will see here is that this report will mainly be based on the users, right? So I can have a group by the users here, and I should be able to see all my clients who have incidents assigned to them. But I will be able to do the same calculations based on the same field that we just built, and we can have like an average time base on a client right now. Same thing. We're gonna grab the. Let me know you see time to respond. Oh, I think we have found a limitation here. I can have the record count. Let me see. Yeah, number of records. This won't be the average, but this will be the number of records. Remove the column, and let me remove the grouping. But yeah, to answer your question real quick, Chris, if properties, for example, incidents reported by department or division. Okay, yes. Uh, to enable to do that, add a failure incident, user will need to go to custom report, edit layout. Yeah, to be able to do that, it's critical to choose the right report. As you saw, my previous report doesn't have any info about incidents. I mean, about users. I have the client ID, but not the rest of them. So it's critical to choose the scope, the initial scope correctly, so you can have all this info, and from here you can start building your report. Um, okay, I'm gonna speed up a little bit because we just have a couple of minutes left. Uh, okay, so let me go back to my initial report. I'm gonna close this. I have already one prepared right here. So now we have the number of records, average time to close, and it's based on staff. Add a new formula. I'm going to add the time to respond in natural days. And another formula real quick to complete just that report. Grouping by staff, average time to respond, number, time to respond, and average. Okay, looks good. Did I grab? Hold on. And this one. Oh, let me change this one. Time to close, natural days. I'll remove this one. Let me check what's going on with this one. All incidents set open close. Okay, something quick I wanted to show you. Um, so there are two ways we can do to build a monthly or a quarterly report, and that's first of all based on the date field here, and choosing current financial quarter or previous financial quarter, next financial quarter, or whatever we need, right? So let me go back to old time. You can also build with formulas a basic formula. Let me close this. A basic formula to return the name of the month. So I'm gonna go to the insert object. Can you guys hear me or not? If you do hear me, please type something on the chat so I can be aware. Okay. All right. Let me continue then, real quick. It doesn't matter if we extend for a little bit. I don't have the moment any urgent matter. All right. Thank you. Thank you for confirming. Um, okay, but this is real cool, and I wanted to show you. So from the incident object, I have created a time to close in month. Let me see if I can find it. Where did I left it? Oh yeah, close month right here. And I want you to take a look at this. Uh, right here, I'm taking formulas to the next level, and I'm using a function case, a function month, and a function date value to first get the date value from the close date. Close date, it's a date time value, so that means it returns the time and the date. Month, it's a function that returns the number of the month, the from a date value, right? So I cannot use close date with month because it requires a date, not a date time. And date value converts a date time to a date. So that's why you see a bunch of stuff in there. So you have date value, month, and the case. So if it's 1, that means it's January, February, March, April, whatever. And here it's a default for a case. So a case always has a default if none of the below above options are met. Okay, so taking this to a report, I'm gonna remove the groupings by staff, and I'm gonna take close date, and there you go. Now I can group by month, but also I can group by staff inside that month. And I can create a chart real quick. And I can group them. Let me see, close month, group by staff. And show values. And with this, we have a whole new level of opportunities and options to build reports, right? We can use formulas to calculate mathematical operations in real time. we can use field formulas on the in whatever incident or whatever object we want to build to create new data that we don't have at the hand. It will be a real difficult to gather all the incidents and segregate them by every single month quickly like this. It just drag and drop the field and that's it. If anyone would like to have this formula, I'm gonna put it on the presentation right here, and this presentation is gonna be available for you. I'm gonna put it on a new slide right here. And if just in case you want to use it, this presentation will be available on the community site. If you want to use it, I'm gonna upload it there. For references, I have used the summary formulas documentation from Salesforce, and this document is really good. The formula fields functions, explains what it does, every single function, how to use it, what is expected result, and stuff. And finally, our self-help and contact for BMC, our YouTube channel, it's right here. The Helix Remedyforce schedule for the next webinars. Our technical support channels from web, phone, and email. And our, let me take this big screen so you can see it. Our BMC communities, Facebook and Twitter. If you wanna just follow us, we appreciate it. Um, Unfortunately, we cut by time, but if you have any questions, queries, new topics from reporting and dashboards, this is a huge topic. It's incredible, um, huge. It's really hard to cover everything in one single hour, especially when doubts are coming out or questions are coming out. And even when I struggle a little bit to find stuff, but that's how I wanted to do it because that way I think we learn both, um, you and I. So I think that's our best option. If you like this type of webinars, please subscribe and stay tuned to the next ones. Feel free to email me any question. I'm gonna put uh, my email address as well on the community site, so you can just email me if you have any other question, or you can contact any of my teammates or peers at the Remedyforce support. Okay, thank you so much for joining and thank you for your participation today. Uh, Thank you, and please take care of yourself and your families, and hope you have an excellent rest of your day.